Join us for a review of the Honda HR-V Sport. Let's go! In the front, the HR-V Sport features those sportier lower bumpers. You can see here they are in high gloss black and a little bit stronger, so this gives a bigger stance on the road, and I think it suits the vehicle very well. Why not? Headlamps also come then with LED in this sport trim. The length is at 4.33 meters, 14'2" or 170 inches. That's of course pretty small, but we'll see how that plays out in the interior. The sport trim, you can see here, high gloss black wheel arches in this case, and also black frames here around the windows, so a little bit sportier overall. High gloss black also for the side mirrors, and platinum gray metallic is an exclusive color for the HR-V Sport trim. In those cases, those are winter tires here, 17-inch, but usually in the summer tires then it comes with 18-inch. And you can also get them in black in the sport trim here, and that of course looks more impressive than it does look at the moment. And finally to the rear, where we can also see this LED signature, and in the lower part here of the sport trim also high gloss black, so it's sportier than with the spoiler right there. And there's a dual exhaust for this 1.5 liter turbo petrol engine. Let's take a look at that. As for engines, in Europe you have 1.5 liter naturally aspirated engine with 130 horsepower, and the 1.5 liter turbo petrol engine as we have here with 180 horsepower, both with manual or CVT, in this case today manual. 7.8 seconds is the acceleration figure then. That's actually a little more than 2 seconds faster than the naturally aspirated one. And our friends in the US, they also have a 1.8 liter naturally aspirated engine, then with 140 horsepower. And always with CVT. And here we only get them front wheel drive, but with the 1.8 you can also get it as all-wheel drive. Also in this sport trim you have those aluminum pedals and special seats with fabric on the inside, beautifully done also with the black fabric, and then red leatherette on the outside, and they're also stronger in the bolstering overall. But you already see there's a lot of space in this rather small vehicle. It's also so easy to get inside, and that's one of the main things about this car. It's short, it's tiny on the one hand, but it's huge on the inside. Now to the interior, the top part here is halfback, however this one then is a little bit softer, and also in the lower part some soft touch. This 7-inch screen you do not get as base, it's an option or include then in the higher trims. Again, you look at the steering wheel, which has this very sporty trim. Zoom more again to instruments and the screen itself, but there's not so much to tell you about that. Here the climate unit is not with physical buttons, but you can press them like this. And one more close-up at the instruments, or classic analog in the middle and also in the left for the RPMs. And on the right part you then have a digital screen where you can, for example, see the very decent fuel economy. Well, and then this screen, the software is actually a little bit weird. You just connect the phone via Bluetooth in Europe. Again, in the US you would just use the CarPlay and that's it. You do have a car internal GPS here as well. That is a little bit, yeah, I'm not sure if we should even talk about this. I think you do get the picture without explaining too much about that. There's hardly any other vehicle that is so well done as for the exterior to interior space relation. Double thumbs up, this is awesome. Headroom also totally fine. So this is a car where you have abundance of space with 4 tall adults, although it's short. I can just stress it over and over again. When you have the panoramic roof, however, it will come quite close with tall adults in the rear. Interesting also, when you flip the seats, then just look at the back part and the lower part at the same time. Here the lower part goes down a little bit. Then we have, when we flip it, look from the trunk, an even surface and no step in the trunk. Great solution here as well. And another solution, this one still has those magic seats. So you can put that one up, secure it here, then it stays, that's so live, like this, here. Then it stays upright. And then you can, for example, transport like your precious plant, which is high or something. As for the trunk, there's a liter capacity of 430 to 1,470 liters. And what does it mean in measurements? Here in the length, we have about 80 centimeters to the back seats. That's already quite impressive for this size of a vehicle. And then to the front seat, that's 1,65 meters. What's up guys? You made it to Thomas's driving lounge today with the Honda HR-V, or Diesel as it's called in other markets, in the sport trim. Talked about differences earlier about the exterior, interior and so on, but now about driving. Well, this one does have the sport dampers. So it's a little bit stiffer, it's a little bit sporty. You do feel that, so you lose some comfort when you're driving over some potholes, and you gain some sportiness then of course in the corners, so it's a trade-off. However, it also depends on the wheel size. So I also told you earlier that usually we would come with bigger wheels on the exterior with this sport look, and we would have the normal summer tires mounted. Here at the moment still the winter tires, and that again makes the ride soft again. So sport dampers, but those smaller wheels, more tire to work with, that doesn't feel that stiff then actually. So if you have the 18-inch wheels and the sport dampers here, that's of course something different. So the look is definitely better, but you might also lose some comfort. That's the thing. We do drive the 6-speed manual gearbox here today, and this is also, as I told you earlier, the 1.5 liter turbo petrol engine with around 180 horsepower, and this one definitely gives me a better boost than this naturally aspirated 1.5. Remember that you guys in the US, you get the 1.8 liter naturally aspirated engine, so this comes closer than in the performance to this one. However, you know, with the naturally aspirated engines, they always have a more linear horsepower output, so you have a more, let's say, natural acceleration. And here with the turbos, now like the road is pretty rough, there are sport dampers, you still feel them, but again, wheels even it out a little bit. So back to the engines, this one here being a turbo, the acceleration, you know, comes after a second, then really sets in when the turbo gets it really going. However, it's still more fun to drive, yes, because the 1.5 without the turbo is, you know, really not that fast. So now we're getting on the motorway and see about the acceleration. I get back to the second gear, and I can also, quite nice sound, right? Accelerate out here, up the hill, and now I'm in third gear and pushed from 60 kilometers to 100. Plop, that's it. And there you see, there's a big difference when I have the turbo in comparison to the naturally aspirated engine. In the 0 to 100 kilometers now, or 62 miles figure, is about 7.8 seconds. For this one here with the manual gearbox, the CVT is slower, and this is now more than 2 seconds difference than to the naturally aspirated 1.5 engine. So this really gives a better punch, and then you also have some power reserves. Not necessarily in the 6th gear, but if you, for example, go to 5th gear even, then there's still something happening, you know, or then of course go back to the 4th gear. In the 6th gear, it's more like rolling, lower fuel economy and so on. And noise insulation, I mean, it's not best in segment here, but it's actually quite decent. So you see, I don't have to raise my voice that much, and the car keeps also relatively stable. The steering gives me a good feeling also. It's quite light, yes, but it's not completely like dead or something. I do also have a cruise control right here in this vehicle, so that's available, showing me then the right side of the screen. That's a normal cruise control right here, non-adaptive. I can set it here, and it's nice to have, of course, for longer drives. So feeling quite good and stable here on the road. The overview to right and left and back is really fantastic. So I can see everything very, very well. That's very cool with this vehicle, especially to the rear. You have such a good overview and know what's happening around you. Very nicely done. And we soon also get off the motorway and show you some more dynamic driving then in a roundabout. We're looking forward to do that. Lane change here, higher speeds. So this is where the sport dampening with even road is of course good, that the car keeps a little bit more upright. So that's good for faster driving than in this case. So it always comes with pros and cons. And shifting is actually quite fun because the whole transmission here, everything is quite crisp when you shift, when you put in the gears. So that's adding to this sporty fun of the vehicle. And since the car is quite light, it's also indeed fun to drive it. And see here, don't have to turn the steering wheel that much, but it's not that progressive. Now changing. Yeah, it's leaning a little bit towards the corners, but still quite okay. So it gives me a good natural driving feeling. So those Hondas really do that very well, and you can compare them a little bit to the Mazdas. They also concentrate on a rather natural driving feeling, so to say. And now to our conclusion for today with the Honda HR-V Sport. Exterior-wise, a fresh, sporty look, definitely cool. And yeah, well, now why not? Probably worth than the Sport upgrade if you like that look, especially when you use those bigger black wheels than in the summer tires. However, the Sport dampers, yeah, I mean, they're a little bit rough from time to time when you have uneven road. The interior is pretty cool because, well, the build quality could be better here and there. Yet again, in the sporty trim here, adds a little bit more spice. But the coolest thing is that you have so much space on the interior considering the small exterior length. That's among best in segment. Driving wise, this 1.5 liter turbo petrol engine was actually doing very well. It gave me better punch, especially when being on the motorway, and it's also more relaxing to ride because you don't have to turn the gears that up. And also fuel economy wise, again a good result, even a little bit better than with the natural aspirated engine. Here, 6 liters on 1 kilometers today. It's about 39 mpg US and 47 mpg UK, and that's actually pretty decent. So what do you guys think? Leave us your feedback and also tune in to one of our next full reviews. What do you think about the Honda HR-V Sport? And also compare our non-HR-V Sport review, for example, or some of the competitors. See you there.